following recording is brought to you by PFSChampion.com, where champions prepare for success. It is intended for training and education purposes only and is not to be distributed to the public. The opinions given are of those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect those of Primerica or PFSChampion.com. So listen, grow, and enjoy.
What I wanted to cover today, folks, I really believe if you're willing to listen, if you got the right set of ears, if you brought the right set of ears today, your life could change. Especially if you've been around the business for a while. You're not going to appreciate this maybe enough if you haven't, but even if you haven't been around that long, this can change your life, because I'm going to tell you how it changed my life. All right? And I promise you, I'm taping today, and so you all are on tape, and this tape might be famous someday, you know? And so, you know, you can be a famous crowd if you're a good crowd. Think you can be a good crowd? Okay, all right. What I want to talk about today is our most important topic, and that's recruiting. But it's not a topic like our normal topic about recruiting. I hope you got a pen and paper. You'll be able to take some pretty good notes. Like I said, we're taping it, and we'll be able to get tapes to you. But would you say that those of you that know me very well or don't even know me that well, that I have a certain attitude about me? And it could be described, at least in one part of it, as at least an air of confidence, almost exudes confidence. Well, do you think confidence is important? Absolutely. Well, what I want to teach, and do you think that's important in recruiting people? It's only everything in recruiting people. And so I'm going to take you from the beginning and build to where I got and where I am. And I'm going to talk to you about how and why I got the attitude that I've got and the air of confidence that I got, and exactly how you can go step by step and do the same thing. It's an absolutely duplicatable. You can learn it. I'm going to teach you exactly how to do it today, all right? You understand, most people don't have much confidence at all. So they're naturally attracted to people that do. Would you agree with that? Yeah. Especially attracted to people if that confident person can help take them someplace they want to go. Would you agree with that? Yeah. Why do, like when there's a captain dies on a ship, or you see anything like that, why do you think the very first thing is that the group of people that's left pick a captain? They want to find somebody they can believe in that can take them where they want to go. It's just human nature. Would you agree with that? Yeah. So you want to become that person so that people are attracted to you. Does that make sense? See, I believe you can do 100 appointments and give a great presentation, but if you don't have the right attitude, you might get no results. Now listen to me, folks. I don't mean the right attitude in being negative. No. You can be the most positive person in the history of the world. You can be the most good-hearted Christian person in the history of the world. You can come to all the meetings. You can sit in the front row. You can have all those kind of attitudes. But you can do 100 appointments. Now, if you're working in a warm market with somebody's got credibility beside you, yes, you can get results. But for a lot of people in here, you're trying to get wise, and you're trying to recruit people yourself. And you're working in lukewarm markets, referral markets, and sometimes even cold markets. Would you agree with that? In those markets, zero results if you don't have the right attitude. And I'm going to teach you about how to get that attitude today. You've heard this over and over and over again. And I'm afraid it might fall on deaf ears, but this morning I said a prayer today for all of you that your ears would be open. So some of you, it's not falling on deaf ears. Okay? People join you, not PFS. Anybody ever heard that before? Yeah. People join you, not PFS. And once you figure that out, your business explodes. I don't really think most people understand what that means, and that's another thing I want to cover today. I think that most of you are still going to just keep on selling PFS. And you're going to hang around. And it's okay to sell PFS until you figure out that you got to start selling you. But you've got to sell both. You've got to sell PFS and where it's going, and you've got to sell yourself on them and where you're going. A matter of fact, and I'll give an example probably later, it's more important to sell where you're going than where PFS is going. And I'll give an example of that in a minute. If you want to hire people and get them attracted to you. Okay? The only reason you really sell where PFS is going is you can go get enough confidence in your own mind to sell them where you're really going. I'm going to show you a little bit how you could hire somebody and not even tell them anything about PFS, and they're going to follow you like a whipped puppy around the restaurant, around the house, around wherever you're at. Anybody like to know how to do that? Okay. Would you agree that belief is the key to our business? People must believe. Well, this is a fact. But a lot of people have been beat up that come into work here. Would you agree with that? Their self-confidence is really low. Their belief level in themselves is really low. It's so important that you need to, this got to click for you today. You must get people to believe in you before you can get them to believe in themselves. That's worth $1 million right there. You must get people to believe in you before you can get people to believe in themselves. See, it's pretty easy to show that PFS is for real. They just got to be certain that somebody right there can take them to where they want to go in PFS. Does that make sense? And so you got to get them to believe in you. And let me tell you how it happened in my life. I went from delivering ice for a living, scared to death to talk to people. Sometimes I'd act like I wasn't, especially in college when you're still in those drinking days. 5 beers, I wasn't afraid to talk to people. Not a compliment to me, all that kind of stuff. I think everybody went through that phase. My second fast start school ever went to. Okay? Still scared to death. No way I would talk to anybody outside of people I knew, and it was still hard for me to talk to people outside of, talk to the people I even knew. Went to a fast start school, and there was a gentleman there named Ron Blumenkemper. Confidence, it just oozed out of this guy. Remember that guy, Greg? And I mean, this guy could just look at you and you just instantly melt and said, yes, sir. Whatever you want. This guy was in the banking business before he came to work here. He still holds the all-time personal record in personal production. And he would work with bankers. And he could walk into a bank, meet the secretary, get past the secretary, get in to see the banker, whether he had an appointment or not, see the banker for 5 minutes. The banker would give him his policies. The next day, he'd write him up. And all the partners. I mean, he was just, and he talked about some of the prospecting things that he did. And afterwards, it's my second fast start school, so I got me some guys now, right? I got me some guys and gals on my team. And they were trained right. Boy, when the guest speaker gets done, you get up and you go learn from the guest speaker. You hang around the guest speaker, right? Guest speaker comes off the stage at a break. My folks go up to him. We're all kind of standing around there. And one of my guys goes, you know what? I'd like to talk to my banker. If you were me, how would you approach my banker? And so Mr. Blumenkemper explained, said what he'd do. And I could tell my brand new green, who first time he'd been to a fast start school, just in his own mind, and everybody standing around going, right, I'm going to tell him that. And I could tell that's what he was saying. And so I kind of interjected there and said, Ron, I understand. Now, you're only making $300,000 a year, So that's what you would say. But what would you say if you were a brand new person just getting started? Understand, I got my team right there, right? This guy's got all the credibility. He's the guest speaker. He looks over at me and says, son, Why don't you just quit? Because you're never going to make it with an attitude like that. You don't get to where I've gotten to unless you have that attitude starting out. So they went on a dissertation about attitude. Went off on, you know what, you got to have until you have that attitude, nobody's going to follow you, so you ain't never going to get to those places. You got to have that attitude. Now, stand in front of your guys, with all the credibility, telling you might as well just quit. Now, on the inside, what if you could describe a cartoon picture of what would happen, what would be happening inside of me? It'd be like a big old balloon getting punched and just, it's in front of my guys. You want them to build you up credibility, right? And I'm like, dagger going in my heart. So I said, you know what? He wouldn't say that if it wasn't true. He wouldn't say that if it wasn't true. And he went, how you got to act that way. Even if you're not that way, you got to act that way. That's how you're going to get people to follow you, all that kind of stuff. I said, you know what? I'm going to start acting that way. So at that point, I started acting very confident. I started acting like the words he said. And I did start to get more people to start following me. I started acting like I was going someplace. I asked Greg in the RVP meeting Friday, in the planning meeting, I said, Greg, list 5 things or 10 things, I don't remember what I said, of why you and Tad, if you could name one key to the success about why you guys hung around and why we went and did what we did, and you had to name it about me. There's one thing that he said. And he's sitting around thinking, and he goes, well, we believed you believed where you were going. You were going someplace. And you said you were going someplace, and we wanted to go there with you. Right, Greg? Yes or no? So that's and that happened. I did not have that before that instance. Okay? So I didn't come into the business with that. Everybody comes in with it maybe a little bit on the inside, but that instant brought it out of me. Well, I'm going to start acting that way then. To me, I was going, well, God, that's kind of arrogant the way he acted. You got to exude so much confidence, it's borderline cockiness. But it's not cocky. Okay? It's got to be tempered with empathy and caring and what's that word? Humility. But you got to be so I started acting that way. And I got criticized a little bit. Greg, get criticized, right? What do you guys think, you guys? I hear people say, you just think your stuff doesn't stink. No, that ain't the case. We just are confident about where we're going. Okay? So that happened to me. But I didn't have a way to formalize it. I didn't have a way to, when I was talking to people one-on-one, I started talking about where we were going after that case, started reading some books. But then I went to a big convention in 1980-something in Las Vegas. And there was some workshops going on. Some of you have heard this story, but I'm going through it for everybody. There were some workshops going on and how to win in the business, all that kind of stuff. And Mike Sharp was doing a workshop, and it was passed out. A lot of people in there. Now, the kind of person I would have been afraid to fight through the crowd and get up to the front of that thing, all right? Then I read on the paper there was another workshop going on what makes Mike Sharp successful, taught by 3 of his guys. And I'm going, wait a minute. That would be a way better one. Because looking on the outside, sometimes people are mistaken in why they're successful, right? Or they get off base because they've been successful for so long they forgot what got them there. I said, I want to go talk to these guys. I want to hire people. I might as well go find out how Mike hired these guys, right? It was Dewey Cass, Bill Lazell, and one other guy that were speaking. 3 guys went in there. There's about 30 people in a room that held 500. Listen to them speak. Now, Dewey Cass was a very successful businessman when he came to work. Now, he came to work about 13, 14 years ago. 15 years ago, maybe now. And he was making $80,000 back then. So that would be like $150,000 now. He owned a Christian bookstore. He was very successful at what he did. and he was 40-something years old. Okay? Then there's Bill Azell. Bill Azell was a big radio personality. He was already in his 50s. Very successful man. Well, I think he might even have part ownership or something in a radio station someday, but it's for what he did. And Mike Sharp was 27 and broke when he hired both of them, and neither one of them knew him. It's cold market type stuff. Referred, talk to you, got referral type thing. And each one of them said the same thing. Each one, now one of them spoke and went down and said they had their 10 points. Each had their 10 points. And a lot of them were the same, but this one was defining absolutely the same. And this is what it was. They said that, you know what, we looked at this 27-year-old, or they said, Bill said, I looked at this 27-year-old kid, we're sitting there over a cup of coffee. He tells me about this company, where the company's going, compensation, what he's going to do with it, where he's taking it, what's going to happen. He goes, you know what, I didn't know if the company was for real. Now, think about this. Wait a minute, think. Very successful business person. You got that? This ain't just any John Doe, somebody. This would be in today's world, a guy making $150,000, $180,000, kind of in business for himself, kind of having the world by the tail. Would you agree with that? Yeah. Far older, looking at this guy as a kid. You know what? Mike was 27 years old, and I didn't know if what he said was for real about the company. I didn't know if what he said about the compensation was for real. I didn't know if what he said about what he was going to go do was for real. But there was one thing I was absolutely certain of. Mike Sharp believed the company was for real. He believed the compensation was for real. And he believed where he was going. And I was absolutely attracted to that. Then Dewey Cass came up and spoke. Now, he was in business for himself, making $150,000, $180,000 in his day's term. And guess what he said? You know what? I didn't really understand that much about the company. I didn't know if it was for real. I didn't know if the compensation that he talked about was for real. And I didn't even know about what he was selling. He was selling on where he was going. And I didn't know if that was for real. But there was no doubt in my mind Mike Sharp believed the company was for real. He believed the compensation was for real. And he absolutely believed in where he was going. And I had been in business for many, many years. Successful businessman. I've been in business long enough to know that if you ever find somebody that can look you in the eye, tell you where they're going, and it seems like they've got the facts to back it up, that confidence and that belief is so rare, yet so valuable in American business. No matter what your little red wagon's hooked up to, if you unhook that little red wagon, hook it up to them, because those type people drag always 7 to 10 key people to wealth. So I unhooked my little red wagon and hooked it up, not even knowing that much about the company. I joined Mark Sharp. I didn't join PFS. I heard that story. Just like that. And I went, oh, that's it. I'm selling people on PFS and how great PFS is. I got to start selling them on where I'm going. And I'm going to say that. I go, he was 27. These people were, almost twice his age, very successful. He was broke, and they were leaving $150,000 a year careers, cold turkey, to follow a 27-year-old broke kid. Why? They believed in where he was going. Let me ask you, you guys have hung around in business here for a while. If you find somebody that can look you in the eye and tell you where they're going, when you have somebody come here around, can you, in PFS, when you meet them, can you tell the ones that are going to go, the ones that have been around for a while? And you can tell when somebody's made up their mind, can't you? And they got a little bit of a track record, you can just say, oh boy, that boy's going to be big. Sold out. Right? It's rare, right or wrong. See, that's the true story. So it works. Truth works. So, that happened to me. And I said, you know what? I got to start coming across like Mike Sharp did. That's the key. Would you agree with that? All of you need to start coming across like Mark Sharp did. How many people would like to attract people? I mean, some of you are going, I can't attract a 23-year-old kid that's broke. And you're sitting there telling them how great PFS is. Hey, PFS is proven. That might be great. That kid doesn't believe he can get there. And he doesn't have anybody telling him that he believes in, that he's going to get there. And some of you might tell him, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it, but you haven't told him where you're going, so he doesn't even believe in you. He doesn't know you. You got to get him to believe in you, and then you get him to believe in himself. Do you agree with that? Mike Sharp got those men to believe in him. And since they believed in him, he had credibility, and he could get them to believe in themselves and start to believe in the company and all that, and then everything went from there. Does that make sense? Okay. So how to get the here's the point, folks. That's what happened in my life to get me to this. So how do you get, that started me on this path, how do you get the attitude and belief that you're going someplace? Number one, understand what the opportunity is. Understand what you truly got your hands on. Don't view it from your own self at first, whether you do or not. Understand what you got your hands on. Do we have all walks of life making big money in PFS? Yes or no? Yeah. All walks of life. Everybody in here believe that the opportunity is for real if you choose to do everything that's necessary to take advantage of it? Yeah, absolutely. So understand that first. Number two, now dang it, listen to these with new ears. You've heard some of this before, but I promise you, if you listen with new ears and wait, it's all going to put together, some of your lives are going to change. Number two, draw out where you would like to go if there was no mental barriers in your mind. Draw out where you would like to go in PFS. What would you like to attain through PFS if you had my confidence level? If you were Mike Sharp. If you could just adopt all of Mike Sharp's beliefs in your body, or Hector Lamarck's beliefs in your body, or Art Williams' beliefs in your body. Take the mental barriers off, draw out where you would go. So this is important, man. This is what I did, folks. That's why I became a millionaire. This right here. Teach you how I did it. Okay?
What do you mean by mental barriers?
Dan asked what a mental barrier is. A mental barrier is, like he said, fear of failure. A mental barrier is, well, I've done 3 appointments and they've all said no. So mental barrier is you think people are going to tell you no. Another mental barrier is, well, I know by nature I'm lazy and I don't know if I can get myself to go do what I'm supposed to go do. Everybody got that? Everybody name some more mental barriers. Never been done before. Somebody like you, where you came from, never been. Where's another mental barrier? Afraid of using the phone. You're afraid of what people will think. People skills. You're afraid of God, and my people skills aren't good enough. You always have an excuse to fall back on. I can go get my job. Always being able to make excuses. Those are mental barriers. Okay? If you had none of those, you are Superman. You are Bill Whittle. You have Bill Whittle's physique and winning attitude. Hector Lamarck, people skills and self-improvement drive. Art Williams, motivational skills. Pete Dawkins, credibility. And Joe Plumeri's passion. If you were that person, what would you do in PFS? I'm serious. That's what you've got to do. Take yourself out of it. Remove yourself. What would you do? Okay? You write that down. Map it out. What would you do? How fast would you become a millionaire? What would you do with the money? How many successful people would you develop to become a millionaire? Would you make $1 million a year? Would you make $5 million a year? Draw it out. Whatever you see that could happen in the next 3 to 5 years. It's got to be what you would do, by the way, it's got to be what you could do in the next 3 to 5 years. Okay? Got to have a time limit on what you would do in the next 3 to 5 years. So you draw it out. Now, drawing it out, what I mean is, draw out what your team would look like. You would have this many RVPs in this many cities, making this much money, which would make you this much money. That's what I mean by drawing it out, okay? You understand? It can't just be an income goal. You have to have a number of people that are going to help you, Dan, get where you want to get. Or, because if it's all about you and there's nobody involved, the vision doesn't work. You have to have other people that you got to help to get where they want, to get where you want. Does that make sense? Okay. You see what it looks like. How much your overrides be. You get paid 29% on your first. You get paid this much on your base job. Draw it out. What your income would be off of it. Okay? Because the people, when you're selling a vision, people understand income because they think about it every day. All right? Number 3, put it into words. Number 3, after you draw it, put it into words. How would you tell somebody efficiently and passionately where you're going? Remember, you're a hybrid of all 5 of those people. How would you tell somebody? So put it into words. Get it to where it sounds good. It's got to be efficient, but it doesn't take a long time to say it. Might only take 30 seconds. Might take 10 seconds. But you can efficiently and passionately say it. Okay, you put it into words. Then the next step, number 4, start acting, which means use the word. Start saying the word. Start acting or pretending like that is where you're going. I know you don't feel like that. Maybe that's where you're going. But start acting like it. And I know you hear from the stage at Fast Circle, well, act this way, act that way. And they'll say, truly do act that way. What I mean by acting, get the words, read the words over and over and over again. Get in front of a mirror if you have to. And just start like you're an actor on a Broadway play. Start saying the words out loud. Then, start saying the words to people. Okay? You've got to start saying those words to people. It's going to be tough the first time you do it because you're not going to believe it. And you almost feel like you're telling people a lie. Because you're not really sure if you believe it. You'd like to have it happen, but you're not sure if you really believe it. Start saying it to people. The more you do it and say it, the more you will believe. And here's why. Here's why. The first time you say it, now you got to practice it a few times and get it down, passionately in front of a mirror and all that kind of stuff. The first time you say it to another human being, a prospect, somebody you're trying to hire, somebody you're trying to impress, something like that, the first time you say it, I promise you, you're going to be in shock. Because the person you say it to is going to kind of believe it. They're going to believe it. And you're going to go, oh crap. They believe me! And the next thing that happens after they believe me is, if they believe it, why shouldn't I start believing? Now, Andy, I want to talk to Dan and Andy too. Andy, I want stand up for a minute, Andy. Andy Atkins, quit medical school, came here, been here 3.5, 4 years, going to get this thing absolutely rocking, done tons of interviews, I want to teach you, Little Red Wagon, how you do the things. But just the things I've said so far, if you do that, now had you really done it in your 3.5 or 4 years?
No, I didn't look it up. 30 days to basically what I want to find out if I keep it.
Right. That's how he's been in and out. Okay, now, we talked a week ago. Said, Andy, this is what you got to do. I promise you. I mean, I say it over and over and over again, but this is what you got to do. Andy made a commitment to do it. So now, and that was not near as big as what I'm talking about, but that was his first time of saying it. Now, what happened? Did you sit there and go, crap? Andy freaked out, and all of a sudden, then did you say it to somebody else? Let me ask you, what happened to your belief level that day?
I mean, I basically know for a fact.
You start saying it, and other people start believing it, it gets you to believe it. Does that make sense?
I've got the confidence that I do see walking out. I mean, I've got some of the things that last week. It's a big solid team. I mean, I just do it before. I'm just telling you, this is the thing that I'm doing.
See, what happens is your confidence level goes through the roof in all areas, and that's the key thing I'll wind up with. Your confidence level goes through the roof. You start doing it, you go, my God, everybody would follow me. And that blows you away. Dan, now Dan moved over here, how long ago? 2.5 months ago. Trying to get things going. He's in Jeff Gambala's base shop. We met for 5 minutes last Monday. He goes, I need that stuff. I'm going to be meeting with some people. I need that stuff. You said you were going to teach this following Monday. Give me in a nutshell what it is. I said, and I kind of gave him in a nutshell what we're getting to here in just a second. And you called me 2 days later going, well, just tell us what happened real quick. First of all, you were having trouble, right?
Right.
People weren't following. People weren't getting in. People were just like,
Right.
I'm interested.
Really briefly, I was a pastor in St. Louis, and a part-time opportunity was great. I was building my church. We were going through a major renovation, and I thought being able to part-time help people with their finances would be great. So I really pushed the part-time opportunity. So when full-time came over here, and what I found out is everybody's got a part-time job. They don't want another part-time job. And I had problems getting people here on Tuesday night. So the first interview I did after I talked to Shane, I went through a bit of the presentation. I said, all that stuff's great, but here's the bottom line. That I'm here, I'm building a company. It's going to be huge, but I need 7 to 10 people to help me do it because I can't do it alone. And the bottom line is, do you think you should be one of those 7 to 10 people? And it scared her half to death. She went, well, I don't know. I need some more information. I said, fine. Tuesday night, we're having a major event here at the office. I kind of described it as a meeting, who wants to go to another meeting? So she'll be here Tuesday. She's canceling a conference on Saturday so she can come to training on Saturday. And it's just been, in fact, I got some, can I show one thing on an overhead? Yeah. Okay. Can I show one thing?
Put this over, Mark. We can put that overhead up there, bud.
This illustrates really the difference that my mind has gone through in the last 8 days. You see that okay? Don't look at this because that's somebody put a drink down on that. But you see the old woman there? How many of you have seen this before?
We were all just a convention.
Okay. You see the old woman right next to me. You see the new woman?
Yep.
Or the young one? Right, the old woman, this is her mouth, that's her chin. Old woman, that's her nose. Young woman, that's her neck. Young woman, that's her nose and her eyelash. See that change? Old
Right.
to new. That's really what's happened to my way of thinking in the last 8 days.
Awesome. Good job, man. Hey, you know what? Dan has got some things going. And somebody may, well, maybe that's in. Hey, I promise you, if you do what I'm talking about doing, your whole belief level will change, and you can walk around like I walk around and just get to the bottom line with people, and you'll freak people out, and you'll get people to follow you. Okay, so those are the steps. Now, the next thing is, whatever it is that you're doing, you must sell it big. 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 I never sold no little part-time crap. first. I've sold it a lot, but I sold it huge first. You can't sell it huge unless you believe you're going to be huge. If you're in this thing doing a little bit part-time, or if you're in this thing thinking that, hopefully you'll get it going someday, you ain't going to hire anybody, and that's what most of your frame of minds are. So you got to learn some words about a big vision where you're going, put it into words, practice it, and start saying that to people. They will join you like crazy. It's a fact of life. Not only do most people have little confidence or not, so they're attracted to people that have confidence, most people have no vision whatsoever, so they're naturally attracted to people that have vision. So sell it big. You can always back it down. I always sell it as 100,000 or more and get into 1 million to 3 to 5 million. With everybody. Sell it that big. Now, would you agree first impressions are everything? If your first impression with somebody, and it's hard to get a first impression on somebody's mind, do you agree with that? So if somebody's first impression is that this thing is huge, big, mega huge, then can you get that impression out of their mind? If their impression is there's huge money, it's almost impossible to get out of their mind. Would you agree with that? But at first impression, this is a part-time deal, maybe a chance to make $500 a month, something like that. And then you try and sell them that it's some bigger deal. What's still always in their mind? $500 a month. That's the thing I feel the most comfortable talking to you about. You got to sell it huge, and then yes, you can back it down to their level. You understand? If you sell it huge, you can take it down to $200 a month easy, right? Well, I'm going to need a lot of other people rather than 7 to 10 that just weren't interested in making, right? And your whole attitude, demeanor, everything changes. But if you're sitting there talking to some guy that wants to do something big in their life, and you go, man, you can make a couple $100 a month part-time. What do they instantly do? Their mind is shut off. You're a small time. Right? And I came here to recruit some of those big-time people and sit on my butt. How many want to do that? You got to lead for a while, but that's the dream. You ain't going to get the big-time people unless you're selling the big-time dream, right or wrong? All right. Here's the little red wagon. First of all, where do you use it? Where do you use the little red wagon story? You use it at the end of all interviews, all all daytime appointments. You end with the little red wagon. All. No. All daytime appointments. They're an in-home kitchen table. No. First time. No. If you use it, and I'm going to tell you, where you do use it, is second appointment when closing the recruit. You don't have enough time the first time you're there. Our presentation, if you learn it the way we do it, it sells it pretty big, and then we get them to the opportunity meeting, right? And we sell it pretty big to the opportunity meeting. When you get back in for the second time close, you try to recruit them, you can't recruit them just yet, you close or sell, now you're back to recruiting them. There, you use it every time. You might not have to use Little Red Wagon, but you must sell hugeness, bigness. Okay? Which is RVP, generational overrides, get 10, that can get 5, that can get 5. You got that? Okay. So that's where you use it. Okay, here's how it is. You tell them why you're doing PFS and where you're going. That's as you're summarizing your appointment. Now, your appointment should have consisted of this. If it's a daytime interview or even a nighttime, third party, never use the little red wagon story. You can, and once you get good if you want to, but I borrowed confidence from these 4 things. Third party stuff that showed we were big and bad to the bone, you couldn't argue with it. Okay? Consisted of that. The big picture of how big our markets are, moving of money, massive moving of money, big opportunity there. Developing people to develop RVPs, not developing RVPs. You gotta sell people on developing. The reason you're out there is you're developing people to develop RVPs. You're not developing RVPs. This is an end for them. To developing people that develop RVPs, that's ongoing forever in people's minds. Does that make sense? Tim Style, is that why we got in? We were sold that dream. Okay? And then the fourth thing is you need to show out the generational override stuff. 10 first, 50 seconds, 250 thirds, and that's probably enough. Okay? And how you show that. Okay. Now, then tell them why, after you're done with your presentation, or you get it worked in there, tell them why you're doing PFS and where you're going. Dan and I, we had to talk about that. Dan was in the ministry. This is a ministry for him. He needs to say, look, I left the ministry. I wouldn't have left the ministry unless I was very certain about something. Would you agree with that? That one line right there makes people go, yeah. Better pay attention. Right? You got to tell them why you're in PFS and where you're going. And then here's basically the little red wagon story. After you've told them where you're going, I say, you know what? After you've told them the big picture, I once heard a very successful businessman say that if you can ever find a guy, or now you say guy or gal, you know, if you could ever find a guy or gal that could look you straight in the eye, tell you where they were going, and it looked pretty big time, and they had some facts to back it up, that confidence and that belief level is so rare in American business. No matter what your little red wagon's hooked up to, you need to unhook your little red wagon and hook it onto them, because those people usually drag 7 to 10 key people to wealth. I'm telling you, I can look you straight in the eye, and you look me straight in the eye. Practice this, I promise you. You got to practice. I was nervous when I first did it the first time. You look me straight in the eye. They said, I'm looking you straight in the eye. I've showed you the facts. I've got a game plan to back up where we're going. I'm telling you, I'm one of those people that somebody, I'm not going to look at this say that you. I'm one of those people that somebody ought to hook their little red wagon on and get drugged to success. Now, I've already told them where I'm going up here. I need 7 to 10 key people. I want to make $1 million a year. I could have 7 to 10 making 100. I've already told them that up front. Okay? So you need to unhook whatever, somebody, they need to unhook their little red wagon and hook it on to my coattails. And at this point, I guess what I'd like to know from you is, could you see yourself, or would you like to possibly be one of those 7 to 10 key people? Now, right there, you freak people out. That's my goal. My goal is to freak people out. The last Monday, we were talking about what I believe is the reason that I got to where I was, an empire builder's mindset. And I talked to you about Ron Bloomingkemper and what he said to me, and said, you might as well quit, son, you're never going to make it. I had this attitude like this in order to get to where I'm at. And so I believed him, and so I got that attitude. I didn't know how to communicate that attitude, but boy, I kind of took that attitude. Then I went to the Mike Sharp workshop and heard Dewey Cass and Bill Azell talk about the reason that they left. They were both very successful business people, 40 years old plus. He was a 27-year-old guy that had no track record of success, and they dropped what they were doing and followed him. There had to be a reason, right? And it had to be something that could be duplicated. And so I heard what he said, and so I decided I was going to start duplicating that. And so I talked about how to get the attitude and belief that you're going someplace. The most important thing, you've got to communicate that you're going someplace. Would you agree with that? Okay. Number one was you had to understand what the opportunity is. That it's unbelievable that it works. All walks of life are making big money in PFS. Show me your circumstances. I will show you somebody that was worse off, had your same background, the same color of skin you got, the same height, the same weight, you name it. I'll show somebody that came from there and is very, very successful today. Okay? Now you have to understand that. And the bottom line, you just got to believe it's for real if you choose to go do it. In your heart, you got to say, I don't know if I want to go pay the price, but I want to pay the price. It's for real. Anybody can do it at this thing. Okay? You have to have that. If you don't have that, sit down and get yourself, that's the first step. You've got to believe that. And sit down with somebody that can get you to believe that. Number 2, draw out where you would like to go. If there was no mental barriers, which was, so if you were a combination of Hector Lamarck self-improvement skills, Bill Whittle's self-discipline in his health habits, Art Williams' motivational skills, Pete Dawkins' credibility, put all those together, what would your dream be in PFS? You got to think about it. You got to take the rubber bands off your brain. Okay? Now, you know what? Some of you are already going, I can't do that. I can't imagine me doing that. That's why you better get your butt and a lot of other people's butts in the seat when Jim Hoyt is here. Right? Because I'm telling you, you ain't going nowhere until you get that rubber band off your brain. Okay? So draw out where it would be. Put it on paper. Draw it out. Okay? Number 3, put it into words where you can say it. Number 4, start acting, pretending like that is where you're going, which means saying the words over and over and over into a mirror. The more you act like that, the more you start to believe that. So I mean, say the words. The more you do and say it, the more you will believe it. And you're going to be shocked when you say it to somebody else and they believe you. That's when your belief's going to start going up. You're going to go, they believe me more than I believe me. It's going to happen. Happened for me. I'm just telling you how it happened for me. Okay? You got to sell it big. You can always back it down. First impressions are everything. I don't remember exactly where I was last week. Okay? But first impressions are everything. If you only got one chance to impress somebody, you want to sell them the bigness, not the littleness. Would you agree with that? You want people walking out here going, this is a big dang deal. You can always back it down to, you can make $200 a month part-time. Right? But if they walk away going, you can make $200 a month part-time, that's what they're thinking when they leave, it's almost impossible the next time to get them to think it's a big deal. Because they think it's a $200 a month part-time opportunity, right? So sell it big. Then the little red wagon, this is where it all comes down to, where you put it together. First of all, before you use it, you should have used some third-party information to back up the company and some of the things you're saying. Sell the big picture of the amount of money. Talk about developing RVPs to develop RVPs, not just them becoming an RVP. And if necessary, you're in the right situation, it's an interview or something like that, draw out the generational overrides. 10, they get 5, they get 5. Okay? And draw out that money. Where you use it, interviews and lunches, breakfasts, quickie things. And then the second appointment when you're closing recruiting, our normal building cycle. You do the first appointment, pick a policy, comes to opportunity meeting, you go back, you talk about recruiting, you do the second appointment, you get our tape, and you listen to how to do the second appointment, you try to recruit them for 10 or 15 minutes. Then you go into, when you can't make a decision, have a study like you do, close their sale. After you close their sale, you do not leave that. If you want them, you don't leave that house until you have drawn out the big picture and done the little red wagon story. Okay? Or something that pertains to that, okay? Here's the little red wagon story. Number 1. It gives us, it's got to be kind of a little bit personalized view. You got to tell them why you're doing PFS and where you're going. And this might be the same for a lot of us, but yet you got to put your own personality into it. Your own story, like Mark left Subways, why he left Subways type thing. Why did you leave your job? You understand, you carry weight. Some of you don't realize how powerful your story is. See, some people are superficial all the way through. You got to just be real, be you. Hey, I was going to college. You do your, whatever it is your little story is, okay? I talked to, Dan, who left the ministry. Well, what a great story. I felt my calling was the ministry. I started out part-time in working with this thing because more people in our congregation needed to know more about their finances. God says you're supposed to be good stewards of your money. And the more I found out, the more I prayed about it, I felt like God led me into doing PFS full-time. This is my full-time ministry. Now, I think he's setting himself up for a pretty good Little Red Wagon story. Right? So get yourself set up for your Little Red Wagon story. And you tell them where you're going, which is whether it's $1 million a year in income and why you want to do that. Just not that you're a money-hungry person. That, whatever, where you're going is. However you're going to verbalize it. It's got to be big, and it's got to include needing 7 to 10 people to help you reach the goal. That make sense? Okay. So, you tell them where you're going, and then you say basically these words. I once heard a very successful businessman say that if you could ever find a person or find a guy that could look you in the eye and tell you where he's going, and it looks like he's got the facts and figures and track record to back it up, that confidence and belief is so rare and so valuable in American business today. I found out those people drag 7 to 10 key people to wealth along with them. And no matter what your little red wagon is hooked up to, no matter where you're going, you ought to unhook your little red wagon and hook onto them. Like I said, they drag 7 to 10 people, usually with them, to wealth. You say, and then something about this is where I'm going. You can tell you this is where I'm going, and here are the facts to back it up. I'm looking for those 7 to 10 key people. Could you see yourself being one of those 7 to 10? Now, you look them straight in the eyeball when you're saying it. Okay? And I wish I could take the time to look at every one of you while I'm doing this thing, and so you can understand how it comes across. Because it's not the same if you don't look at them. I once heard a man say, if you could ever find somebody to look you straight in the eye, tell you where they're going. Now, you understand if I was looking you straight in the eye, right when you're saying it, what happens to people when you do that? They go, oh crap. Right? I don't care if they're big earners and think that they're hot stuff and got their Beamer sitting out in the parking lot. They go, whoa. Okay? You look them straight in the eye. You tell that story. You think you could see yourself, or would you want to see yourself being one of those 7 to 10? And there you're going to take it different directions. And you got to look them straight in the eye when you do it. You got to practice this. I wish we had a little time, because we were going to take some time and practice this today. Okay? You get hooked up with somebody and you practice looking somebody in the eye when you do it and when you say it. And if they say, you can tell at that point whether you freaked them out or not. Okay? And they sit there and go, yeah. That's usually what you get, is something like that. I don't know. And if you get an I don't know, sit there and say, now, I'm not saying that you got to know everything from the get-go. I'm just asking if you would like to be one, if I'm willing to hold you by the hand, do the training, teach you everything you need to know. You think you got the desire to be one of those 7 to 10. And then you kind of back it down as far as you got to go. I'll help you. I'll do the training, all that kind of stuff until they say yes. And not everybody's going to say yes, but most people will. Okay? Like I said, sell it big, then back down. One of the reasons you got to sell it big before you do this is because you got to kind of put yourself on a pedestal. You're there by yourself. I'm talking mainly a lot about interviews and stuff. You're putting yourself. You got to get yourself up on a pedestal. You've got to build a pedestal of PFS, big amounts of money, doing big things, and then put yourself on top of that pedestal. Does that make sense? And then you can back it down to their level. And remember to say whatever they're thinking. If I was talking to Mark, I said, I once heard a guy say, if you could ever find somebody look you straight in the eye, tell you where they're going, and it looks like it's big, those people usually drag 7 to 10 key people to wealth with them. And if they look in the eye and tell you that's what they're going to do, and it looks like they've got the facts to back it up, that belief and that confidence is so rare. Especially in American business today, you should unhook your little red wagon to whatever it's hooked up to and hook your little red wagon onto them because they drag 7 to 10 people, 7 to 10 key people to wealth. And now there, and also, there's different places you can drop stuff in and say, and what I'm telling you right now is I'm one of those people that somebody ought to hook their little red wagon up to. I guess what I'm asking you at this point is, could you see yourself maybe being one of those 7 to 10? Now, if they're going, and you can sit there and tell, you're hoping that you think they're sitting there going, well, this guy's pretty arrogant. And then you say it. When I say, you know what, Mark, when I say that to some people go, well, this guy's pretty full of himself. No, I'm not. I just know where I'm going. I studied it. I've got the game plan in place. I'm one of those people that someone should hook their little red wagon up to. All I'm asking you is, do you think you'd like to be one of the 7 to 10? Okay? Do you think that works? You know what? You know how important that confidence and looking somebody in the eye is? Watch this. You meet somebody at a restaurant for an interview or something. You don't even talk to them about PFS. Think about this, okay? I'm looking at Lynn. Lynn, let me tell you what I want to do get together. I'm going to build a huge company. Part of a company that's expanding right now. My goal in 5 years is to take my income to $1 million a year. To do a lot of good things with that money, but won't go into the details of that. That's my goal. I need 7 to 10 key people that I can develop that are each going to make at least $100,000 or more. So I'm going to take with me to the top. And I once heard a businessman say, a successful businessman say, you know, if you could ever find somebody look you straight in the eye, tell you where they're going, and it looks like they got the facts and figures to back it up, you know, and he said they found out those people usually drag 7 to 10 key people to wealth with them. And what I'm telling you is, I'm one of those guys. You ought to unhook your little red wagon and hook it up to whoever they are, because they usually drag those 7 to 10. I'm telling you, I'm one of those guys. I guess what I'd like to know for you before we even start is, could you see yourself being somebody like that? And you understand? You freak people out. People are like paying attention right up front, right? That's what you need to do. Most of it is, well, what do you think? Kind of neat concept, isn't it? I'm giving it a try. Come check this thing out on Tuesday night. There's this one guy making some money. That's what's going on in your teams. You know why it's going on in your teams? It's what you're doing. Tape yourself. You'd be embarrassed. Just practice that. I did it. I used to not be able to do it. Now I can do it. And I'm telling you, that's why Mark hires the people. It might not be that story, but he sells where he's going. And it's so rare for people to have any vision and confidence at all. They are just naturally attracted to people that have it. Does that make sense? Matt Brody, 21-year-old kid, just turned 21 years old in Mark's team. He hired his boss. He's hiring all these business people everywhere he goes. People are like, I'm following this kid. He's 21 years old. He's got 35-year-old supervisors going, I'm following him. I'm following him. You know why? He's got a dream and he believes in it. People have already lost their dreams. If you can find someone who believes in one, you just hope they can drag you to yours. Right or wrong? Absolutely factual how that works. Then again, you might say, another thing you can say is, if people go, well, boy, this guy sounds pretty full of himself, or you might say, you know, Kerry, I've said that to a gentleman before, and I know I could tell by the expression on his face he's going, well, you're pretty doggone arrogant, aren't you? And you could go ahead and say, and it's not arrogance. It's confidence. I've studied the company. I know what I'm doing. I'm working with the people that have the best proven track record in the history of this company. I've got the facts to back up. It's been done many times over, and we're going to do it. And the reason I guess I share that with you, Terry, is because I think it's important, if I was going to go into business with somebody anyway, to know what their vision and direction is. Don't you agree? So I guess that's why I share it with you, so you know what my vision and the direction we're going is. See how you can say that stuff? Like I said, the key to all of this is your confidence soars when you see the reaction of people. Your belief in your own dreams become unshakable. That's what happened to me. I'm telling you, I started saying stuff like that to people. It might not have been exactly the same. The main thing was I looked somebody in the eye when I said when somebody else said if you could ever find somebody that can look you in the eye. You just look anybody in the eye for more than 2 or 3 seconds, and you are in control. Would you agree with that? And you elevate yourself, and people go, God, this guy's better than me, or this gal's better than me. I promise you, people are attracted to that. If you will commit to doing that, get out and do it once or twice, there's a lot of other parts of your business will explode just because your confidence level will go up. That make sense? Okay. So that was Little Red Wagons thing. That's where I got my confidence. Does that help anybody? Okay. TV starts in about 1 minute. Okay. So hopefully that'll help. And by the way, we'll make some copies of that tape, not a ton of them, but anybody want copies of that tape? And you will make some copies so you can listen to that. And like I say, I know it's not perfect, and I'm not proud of how we put that thing together, but at least you'll have something that somebody might be able to get a few tidbits from, okay? So did I have a pretty good commitment? Did I get it about probably 5 or 6 times rather than 4? I said, so your next thing is, what I'm doing is I'm getting a commitment from you. And let me tell you, I already told you one reason why I did it. Let me tell you another reason why I did that. We do this analysis for free. There's a company in Topeka, and now it's expanded over here, called Pantillo and Miller. They'll do the same analysis for you, and they charge you $600 for the analysis, just to find out what the answers are. We do it for free. All we're saying, but we do got to do all the work and prepare all the policy. If we're going to do all the work, we'd like you to go ahead and make the commitment that if you see that it's better for you, that we can go ahead and do that. So let me tell you what happened to me one time. I went and picked up 17 policies at a house. I don't even think that was a record, but in the high teens with this guy. Picked them all up, came back, ran an analysis on it, saved this guy tons of money, went through the whole thing, and the guy went, "It's unbelievable what you can do for me." I said, "Great, I don't know if you can qualify. What we got to do is fill out an application, make sure you qualify." He goes, "Oh, but I'm not doing business with you." And I said, "Wait a minute, maybe I don't understand. Didn't you just say ours is way better?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm shocked at how much better yours is." And I said, "Well, I don't understand then." And he goes, "Well, if you'll look on most of those policies, if you'll look at the agents that signed them, they have the same last name as me. My 84-year-old grandfather, who's in the hospital right now, actually on his deathbed, sold most of those policies. And I couldn't do that to him right now." Now, I understood that, but if I would have asked that right up front, Ed and Sherilyn, then I would have known that, and at least I wouldn't have had to analyze all 17. I could have just analyzed one just to show him what we did. So I'm asking, if we do all the work, it's fair for me to assume when I come back we can do business that night if you see it's better for you. Is that fair? Now, if I do that, am I going to have any trouble closing that sale when I go back? Am I going to have, well, I want to shop around. Well, I want to talk to my old agent. Now, if you do ever have that stuff come up, say, you reminded that, I never get that. Now, I got to answer that I'll teach maybe another time, but I don't hardly ever get that. So you get that 4 times. That makes sense? Okay. Now, if they won't give you a commitment, don't what? What? Don't take them with you. Don't go back. Don't. Will you actually do that? Yeah. It's in everybody's best interest. If they won't give you commitment, don't pick them up. Because guess what? If they are all they're going to do is shop you, you understand that if they come back, you go back and give them a proposal, and they say, okay, now I want that, I want to go shop around. Guess what they're going to go do? Shop around. Guess who they're going to go talk to? Cash value agents. Guess what happens when they go talk to cash value agents? They get lied to. They show them, well, here's this real cheap stuff, which is actually crap. And then talk them into buying cash value, destroy all our credibility. Now they're all confused. They don't know which way's up. Right or wrong?
Right.
So, you get that commitment. Now, I asked Greg Hall. Because Greg was in the business for 2 years. He goes, will you go field train me again? I'll make some new friends. And I said, yeah. So he's been in business 2 years. I go out and field train Greg Hall again. First appointment he takes me on. Greg's he's hurting for money right now. That's why he's thinking I'm a pretty good closer. If he take half of something, that's better than 100% of nothing, right? So we go out, get through the whole deal. He goes, well, I can't give that commitment though. That's why I'm sorry. I just slowly just put it right there. Well, I'm sorry, I can't do that analysis for you then. Well, why? If you can't give me the commitment that if I do all the work and you see that it's better for you, and you can't make the commitment to go ahead, there's no need for me to do all the work. I'm not asking you to do something that's not better for you. But you can't give me that commitment, then, and I put him on the table, started getting, but I want that analysis though. Well, I want that commitment then. And it's only in your best interest. And let me tell you why. And so you give this scenario of exactly what would happen. I want you to go do all your checking. You got to do your checking. I'm not asking, tell me what, and then I ask him, what would it take for you to give me that commitment? So obviously you don't feel comfortable giving me that commitment right now. What would it take for you to give me that commitment? Well, I want to go do this, and this. Great. I'll leave your policies here. You go do that. I'll call you back. If you can give me that commitment, I'll come by, pick up your policies, and show you what we can do for you. 90% of the people will then give you the commitment. And they're a done deal. Because they can't back out after that. Okay? If they won't give you the commitment, don't pick it up. Now, don't burn them. Just say, you go doing your checking. How long's long enough? What do you need to do? And then I'll come back after that. Because if you pick them up, your greenie's going to make you think you're incompetent because you will not be able to close it. I'm not good enough to close it. You understand? Okay. Number 11. How many people are going to be honest on this one now, dang it? How many people don't do number 11 like they should do number 11, the referral ones? Few more honest people. Assuming you feel good about what we do for you, is there any reason you wouldn't recommend 10 people like yourself who should hear about the plan? Of course, they'll make up their own mind. Harold. Always. Matter of fact, see, this is number 11. That's number 12. That means you have to do number 11 before you get to number 12. If you get back here, what comes before this? Well, you always, if you do say, well, I'm going to hire them. What if you don't hire them? You never know, their brother-in-law who's smarter than the whole world might blow them out of the water, right? Okay, so yeah, you get that commitment from everybody. Because what's the main thing here? Now step back and take the big picture because you've been focused on something pretty concise. Step back and take the big picture. What's the main thing you are focused on that entire night while all this is going on? Okay? Training the greens. Right? Whatever they see is going to be duplicated. Right or wrong? If you one time do not do one of these, they'll never do that one. I guarantee you. Guaranteed. Until they come to a meeting and decide, and hear somebody like me and decide you're an idiot and decide maybe I better go do it the way that Shane says to do it. Right? Now you're not an idiot. We're all in a learning curve, right? So we forgive the past. Forgiven. Okay? But from this point forward, we're getting all these, right or wrong? See, when you feel good about what we can do for you. Now, what I'm doing, we don't spend any money on advertising. That's why we're able to provide what we can provide for you. And what you're going to be blown away. Now, if we come back and you don't think it's better for you, I don't ask you to do that. But I'm asking, we come back, you see it's better for you in every way, that you go ahead and give me 10 referrals. Is that fair to assume that you'll do that? See, right now, they know they don't have to do that. So it's easier, for another week. They don't have to do it that night. So it's much easier for them to give you that commitment. Would you agree with that? You go back you go back with this, you get 10 referrals. You at least get 6 or 7. You go back and didn't do this one, you're getting 3 because you have to. And they're not even referrals. Right? Now, anytime you feel like you're building pressure in any one of these areas, all you've got to do is say out loud what you know they're thinking in their mind, and it will dissolve the problem. You see me do it all the time. Sometimes at opportunity meetings, when I get a little bit, there's somebody in the crowd that just, that I go off. But I don't go off on them. But I go off about people that think that, that you live in Johnson County, everybody thinks they're, all they are is broke at a higher level, they're farther in debt than anybody else. Okay, but every once in a while you got somebody that, is kind of like, I don't need help, my finances, right? So I go off at the end of the meeting, right? I do the 4-year-old child deal, right? You heard me go off? And I know what you know, the room gets like, everybody quits moving. And it gets real tense. Everybody's looking around, people's eyes are getting real big. And what are they thinking? You're kind of a jerk, man. I don't know if right? Is that what time? And so what do I say? I know what some of you are thinking. I don't know. You're going, I don't know if I like that guy. And what does everybody do? All you've got to do is say what they're thinking, and it dissolves. So you say, well, some people might be, I know some people when I do this say, well, you're pretty hardcore about those 10 referrals. And they're going, good, that's what I was thinking. Right? And I say, I understand I come across that way, but I so believe in what we're doing. And you will too. And I don't expect you to give any of them to me unless you're so excited about our plan and you think it's better for you in every way. And so you feel like they're giving off. I don't think it's better for me in every way, then I won't have to. Well, that's right. Now, if they do business with you, what does that mean? Better in every way. Decision carried. Right? Get the commitment. And by the way, if you come to work with us, those will be your first 10 field training people that we go see. And you'll get compensated for seeing those people. Okay? But get the commitment. Some of you, see, here's the challenge. The talented ones of you really mess up your team. Well, I know I'll get enough people hired. I don't need to get referrals. That's why you got a lot of struggling people in your team, because you didn't get them, and they aren't good enough recruiters yet, and they need some referrals to survive on until they become a good enough recruiter. Right or wrong? Let me ask you, if you had 100 people between 25 and 45 married, have kids in their own home, and had their best friend tell them that they should sit down with you, all you got to do is call them, they're waiting for your phone call, how many people would have some appointments this week? Okay? So maybe we ought to get some referrals. Agreed? Okay. Just read it. Just do it. Okay? Number 12. It's actually the fourth major commitment. The number 12. The business overview. Goes like the commitment on this. What do you normally do on Tuesday evenings? Not, what are you doing this Tuesday? What do you normally do on Tuesdays? Now, if they're going to make something up, they're going to make up something that they do every Tuesday. It's going to be hard, right? What do you normally do on Tuesdays? Obviously nothing. Right? I mean, because they can't think, great, just so happens this Tuesday. And you go through, you've already done this in the presentation part, right? You're confirming it here. Few things. What do you normally do on Tuesday? It just so happens. I want you to meet our vice president. And you need to brag about known objections. I do this on every point. And I know you'll need to get a babysitter. You bring it before they do. They got kids. I know you'll need to get a babysitter. It'll be, I promise you, the best money you ever invested in a babysitter. Phil's going to the meeting. I'll then swing by and pick you up. Fair enough? Well, I'm not sure. Well, let me ask you this. If you're going to make one of the biggest decisions you're ever going to make in your life, You like to have a lot of information, just a little information to base that decision on. I'm sorry, what do they all say? A lot. Well, whether you come to work with us or whether you don't, or whether you become a client with us or whether you don't, it's going to be one of the biggest decisions you're ever going to make in your life. You come to this meeting, you're going to get a lot more information to help make a decision. This presentation tonight was just a little bit. So as you agree, you'd rather have a lot rather than a little. I'll have Phil come by and pick you up at 6:30. Fair enough? Got that? Whose best interest is it to come to the opportunity meeting? Theirs. Especially if they don't want to come to work. Especially if they don't want to come to work, they've got to come to an opportunity meeting. Why? They come to an opportunity meeting, they see there's an office, they see it's for real, there's a lot more people doing the same thing. When the old agent comes back, when another agent comes back, where their brother-in-law says, oh, you're a goof, buy cash value. Their confidence level will be up a little higher. Would you agree with that? It seems more real. It's far more important for the people that don't want to come to work to come to the opportunity meeting than the people that do want to come to work, but everyone comes to the opportunity meeting. Right or wrong? You get a commitment on that. People say, well, I'm doing something Tuesday. What's your first response to that? Can you change it? Because guess what happens if you sit there and go, well, okay. Was it very serious? But you sit there and go, can you change it? You just challenge them that little bit. Can you change it? Well, I guess if I had to. I promise it's worth changing. You can change it. Those people, they respect you. You agree with that? Okay. The follow-up visit must be set that night. It should more than likely, 80% of the time, be at the same place at the same time exactly 7 days later. Okay? Which, by the way, that makes me think, if somebody says they don't have any time, that's one of their excuses for not doing PFS. I go, you know what? I've been here on Wednesday night from 7 to 8:30 the last Tuesday night, from 7 to 8:30. What do? Every Wednesday night you reserve from 7 to 8:30 for professional life insurance agents to come by and sell you life insurance? You got some free time. What you're telling me is you don't know if it's worth your time. Isn't that what you're saying? No, I won't go through that hope. Okay? Okay? But get the follow-up.